Good evening everyone and welcome to Gundam News. And before we can get on to the biggest news of this week, we first have to go over the January Gunpla schedule. And January is definitely going to be an interesting month because technically speaking there are a lot of releases, but most of these releases are just slightly different re-releases. Starting on the 11th, we have the BB Senshi 0083 Stardust memory set, which really is nothing more than just a more expensive repackaging of the previously released GPO-1 Fulburnian, the GPO-2, the GPO-3 with the Dendrobium, and the Neue Ziel. This will then allow you to recreate some of the most climactic battles from 0083 in super deformed form for 4,510 yen, 29 US. And on the 17th then, we'll be getting all of the rest. For 880 yen, 6 US, we have the entry grade Strike Rouge, which will now, then finally be available as a standard release. And instead of the armor schneiders that the initial more limited release came with, this standard version now comes with the shield and beam rifle combo. Plus, it also comes with a marking sticker with Kigali's personal emblem, which I don't think was included with the older set, but I could be mistaken. And they also confirmed that it's compatible with the Gunpla option part set Striker pack, which, should be kind of a given, and that it's compatible with the Cavalier. And of course, it will also be compatible with the second Gunpla kit released that day, the option part set Gunpla 14 Gun Barrel Striker, which will go for 1,320 yen, 8 US, and isn't actually a straight up re-release of that Gun Barrel Striker pack that was released many years ago with the Gun Barrel Dagger. Instead, it uses the parts from the Gun Barrel Striker that was included with the limited edition of Gundam Breaker 4. And while this does mean that it has some upgrades, like a handle to use the Gatling gun as handheld equipment, and both a single PEG connector for Striker Pack compatible mobile suits, and a double PEG connector for most other modern high grades and entry grades to use, it also has some downgrades. It lacks the really cool mechanical arms that kept the hatches open, even though the holes to connect them to are still there, and it no longer comes with the action base that also doubled as storage for those mechanical arms and also for the guns when the gun barrels were closed. You win some, you lose some. And even though the main stated goal of this kit is to combine it with the entry-grade Strike Gundam, you should of course have no problem combining it with the high-grade Strike, as well as other Striker Pack compatible mobile suits and many other kits, thanks to those two included connectors. And then finally, we get our only truly new release. The high-grade GQux for 2,200 yen or 14 US. The latest, maybe not Gundam design, that feels more like something that came straight out of Eureka 7. But love it or hate it, it does come with a nice lineup of accessories. It comes with 2 heads, one with the V-fin deployed and one with the V-fin closed, a pair of open hands, a pair of closed hands, a shield, a beam rifle and 2 beam sabers that look as unique as the mobile suit itself, and a very UC-esque looking Heat Hawk, which may lead you to believe certain rumors that may or may not be out there. What I can talk about though, without Bandai breaking down my door, is everything that we know so far about Bandai's upcoming tabletop miniature game called Gundam Assemble. For years, people have been trying to make their own tabletop games with Gunpla, and in the past, Bandai did already make a tabletop Gundam game with the 1/400 scale Gundam collection figures. And now Bandai has finally come out with their own Gunpla miniature game, which will also be using a new line of smaller kits, which has then led it to being called Gundam 40K by people online and also several articles. But based on the images that we have so far, is going to be very different from 40k. Rather than massive armies, it's more squad-based, and the action will take place in relatively small arenas, which use a hexagonal grid, so it's less Warhammer 40k and more Battletech. The models we will be using then are quite different from your average Gunpla. They're only 5 centimeters tall, come molded entirely in grey, and are not articulated, putting them more in line with your average tabletop miniature figure. What might set them apart from those, though, is their price. While we don't have the pricing for just the figures yet, together with the announcement for Gundam Assemble, they also announced a collaboration with the upcoming Gundam card game. And if you're now wondering what a collaboration between a card game and a tabletop miniature game would be all about, don't think about it too much, because it's really nothing that special. All it boils down to is that they're releasing starter sets that will include a deck for the Gundam card game and 3 miniatures for Gundam Assemble. And in the promotional video, they then show you that you can put the figures on the cards while you're playing the card game. Something that I'm almost certain of nobody is actually going to do in any kind of official setting. Not only does it not do anything, it's actively going to get in the way of you and your opponent being able to read what's actually on the card, because the figure is there. So I don't think your opponent is really going to appreciate you doing this. And if you are considering doing this, just go all out. Don't use small figures, use master grades. Heck, use perfect grades if you can. But now about those starter sets. They'll be releasing in Japan on July the 12th for 3,300 yen, and in America that means July the 11th because of time differences, and they will be releasing for $34.99 US. And they will be releasing 4 different sets. And like I said before, these sets will contain a starter deck for the Gundam card game and 3 unpainted minifigs for Gundam Assemble. But so far, for each set, only the lead figure has been confirmed. We have Heroic Beginnings featuring the RX-78-2, Wings of Advance featuring the Tallgeese, Zeon's Rush featuring Char's Zaku 2, or, well, I guess any Zaku 2 commander type you want it to be, depending on the color you paint it in, and finally, Seed Strike featuring the Strike Gundam. I guess they used up all of their creative names for the first 3 sets. But these are not all of the figures that we know about, thanks to the promotional video and numerous promotional images. First of all, we also get the gun tank and the gun cannon, which might be the other 2 figures included in the Heroic Beginners starter set. Although it might also be the aerial for reasons that we'll get into in a second. The other 2 figures then are 2 types of Jim, a mass-produced Zaku 2, a Zaku 1, the Aerial, the Wing Zero Custom, the Dead Scythe Hell, the Rising Freedom, both in transformed and normal mode, the RX-78-2 but in a different pose, 2 balls together, a Zuda, the Zeong, the Sinanju, the Unicorn Full Armor, a Totohachi, the Mighty Strike Freedom, the Kapul with a K, because the way it's running means that it's from turn A, and even the Archangel, meaning that ships will be part of the game. And this is honestly the thing that I'm personally the most excited about. Because when it comes to ships from Gundam, it's always something. They're either too expensive, they're hard to get, or they just straight up don't exist, which is unfortunately the case for many Gundam warships. For example, the Salamis Kai, which I would buy in a heartbeat. Also, in the promotional video for the collaboration, the figures are shown with round bases, but in the tabletop game, they are shown using hexagonal bases. So there is the possibility that the starter sets will come with 2 different bases, which I feel like might be a bit of a waste of money. But talking about money, this definitely feels like it could be a major selling point for Gundam Assemble. Because when comparing it to other Gundam kits, $35 for 3 small figures and a stack of cards might feel a bit on the more expensive side, but when you're comparing it to other miniature games, especially Warhammer 40k, this is dirt cheap. Combine this then with the fact that it seems to be more squad-based versus army-based, and the barrier to entry for this game is going to be very low, especially for tabletop miniature games. So then, if the rules are as awesome as the miniatures, I think Gundam Assemble is really set to succeed, which is a sentiment that I see mostly mirrored on the internet. Except for this one Forbes article that thinks that it's a bad idea to have a Gundam game where multiple Gundam universes are mashed together. This is definitely one of the weirdest takes I've seen in a while, because we have multiple long-running franchises that are all about mashing not just different Gundam universes, but mashing different anime universes. Even outside of mech anime, this is done quite a bit. So if anything, history has shown us that combining different series together, even though they might not have anything to do with each other, is definitely a winning concept. But anyways, from Gundam Assemble, we go to the Gundam card game, because the release date of those collaboration sets is also the official release date for the Gundam card game. As mentioned earlier, you can get the starter decks with figures for $34.99, but you can also get the starter decks by themselves for 1,320 yen, which then becomes $11.99 stateside. The Heroic Beginnings deck is blue and white and has the RX-78-2 and the Ariel, combining the old and the new in a single deck, and this is also the reason why I said earlier that the Ariel might also be a figurine included in the Heroic Beginners collaboration set. The Wings of Advance deck then is green and blue and has the Wing Gundam and the Tall Geese, so it's interesting seeing these two rivals combined instead of fighting against each other. Zeon's Rush then is a red and green deck and might as well have been called Char's Rush because it comes with Char Zaku 2 and the Sinanju. And then finally Seed Strike is white and red, featuring Atheron and Kira fighting together. Each deck consists of 50 cards and also comes with 10 resource cards, 8 token cards, a damage counter sheet, a play sheet, and a bonus card pack. And they also announced some other things as well, although keep in mind that the dollar price I'll be given for those is not the localized price, but the direct conversion from the yen price. So, also on the 12th, for 880 yen, 6 US, you can get a pack of 70 card sleeves. You can get them with either the main logo, the Earth Federation's logo, Char Zaku 2, or with the new illustration from Lacaz's card. Then for 1,320 yen, 8 US, there's an official card case, which will also come with 2 promotional cards. And for 1,650 yen, 10 US, there's also a damage counter dice set, which comes with 6 dice and a case to put them in. And on July the 21st then, the first booster pack will also be releasing, called New Type Rising. Card packs will go for 220 yen, $1.50, and contain 6 + 1 cards. I'm guessing the +1 is just some information card or something like that. But anyways, that is all that we know so far, but a few hours after this video goes live, Bandai will be holding a live stream to give us even more information. It is supposed to only be about the card game, but I wouldn't be surprised if they also snuck in some information about Gundam Assemble. On to the figure news then, where we got quite some impressive Gundam Universe figures. Not only do they use the new and improved joints for significantly better articulation, but they also come with all of their standard accessories instead of just the bare minimum. As a result, they do retail for a slightly higher 4,400 yen, 28 US. So first up in the lineup is the Unicorn Renewal version, which comes with significantly better proportions than the old version, the beam magnum, the bazooka, the shield, 2 beam saber blade effect parts, and a bunch of different hands. The second one is a slightly metallic looking Wing Zero, which also has some very thick calves, a long face, the twin Buster Rifle, which can be separated, again something that would not have been a given for old Gundam Universe figures, the shield, 2 beam sabers, and a bunch of hand options. And then finally there is the Epyon, which is very shiny. The face also looks slightly off, and it comes with a heat rod, the shield to connect it to, an active and a not active beam saber, and again a bunch of hand options. So yeah, it's interesting to see how much they've been able to improve the Gundam Universe line without making them as expensive as the Robot Spirits line. Pre-orders are up right now, so I will have them linked down below, and they can be yours in June. And for those of you who just can't get enough of Gundam Seed Freedom, a Hochi Entertainment Market pop-up shop will be opening up in Aichi from the 15th to the 28th, and in Fukushima from February the 22nd to March 2nd. There's a clear file for 550 yen, 3 US, acrylic keychains for 990 yen, 6 US, acrylic stands for 1,650 yen, 10 US, an acrylic board for 3,300 yen, 21 US, a tapestry for also 3,300 yen, 21 US, a desk mat for 4,400 yen, 28 US, and a t-shirt for 5,500 yen, 35 US. And in addition to all of this Gundam Seed Freedom stuff, they will also have merchandise from Love Life, Nijigasaki High School Idol Club, and Project Sekai Colorful Stage featuring Hatsune Miku. Meanwhile, on the gaming front then, in Gundam Battle Operation 2 for the PlayStation, the Gundam Mark II Magalanica has joined the fray, while on Steam, the Gundam Mark V missile pod type has become available. Over at UC Engage then, I think Camille has taken over their Twitter page. Because joining us this week in the form of an event unit assembly is the UR Bound Dock and its pilot Jared Mesa, who is described as continuing to pursue Camille Bidon no matter how many times she loses. Camille held a grudge. And then for the other announcement, they can't decide if it's Encirclement Breakthrough Battle or Battles. In other news then, a show called Kaitai Kingdom, or Breakdown Kingdom, has made a documentary about the disassembling of the life-sized moving Gundam statue that was at Yokohama. It was first broadcast on NHK on the 8th, and it will get a rerun on the 14th. And I can definitely imagine that it's quite an interesting thing to see, because they weren't just tearing it down. They had to carefully disassemble it because they were going to be using it again at the World Expo. As for the things you could get this week then, we first have to go to mainland China. 2025 is the year of the snake, so not only did we get a new snake-inspired Gundam made by Kunio Okawara himself, but it also immediately became available in several ways. For 399 yuan, 54 US, there is the QMSV Snake Gundam. For 699 yuan, 95 US, there's a gold-plated QMSV Snake Gundam. For another 699 yuan or 95 US, you can get a box set of miniature Zodiac Gundams, which will of course include the Snake Gundam and the previous Zodiac Gundams. Or for 75 yuan a ticket, 10 US, there is a Zodiac Gundam Ichiban Kuji. The A prize is of course the Snake Gundam itself, the B prize is the Dragon Gundam, the C prize is a desk mat featuring either the super deformed Gundams of the Zodiac or the full scale Gundams of the Zodiac. The D prize then is one of 6 super deformed Zodiac Gundams. The E prize are again those same D prize Gundams, but now without paint. The F prize is a pixel art keychain of the Zodiac Gundams. The G prize is a cute magnet of the Zodiac Gundams. The H prize is a towel featuring the full-scale Zodiac Gundams. And finally, if you manage to snag the last ticket, you'll also get this Golden Snake Gundam. Unfortunately, all of this is limited to mainland China. which was also the case with all of the other previously released Zodiac Gundam stuff. And on the 9th then, we got some Japan Limited stuff. First up, in arcades across Japan, you could try to get these Haro speakers, which I don't think will sound all that great, and they also only connect via USB. And the other thing you could get that day were tickets for the online exclusive G Gundam 30th Anniversary Ichiban Kuji. We already knew what the top prizes were, being a battle-damaged God Gundam in both normal mode and super mode, and a Master Asia fan. And now, we of course also got all of the other prizes that are up for grabs. The C prize is a visual board featuring one of 3 newly drawn art pieces. We have the new Shuffle Alliance, we have Domon and Master Asia, and we have Allenby and Rain in bunny suits. The D prizes then are acrylic stands of the main Gundams, the E prizes are acrylic stands of the secondary Gundams, and as far as I can tell, all of them are included. And finally, the F prize is a clear poster featuring one of the main Gundams. For this week's reading material then, there was the Gundam Archives Zeon Famous Machines, featuring a scratch-built Garen CRS and the Master Grade Goof version 2.0, and for the apparel news, it was just Strict G again this week. From the 10th to the 12th, they'll be opening up a Strict G stand at the Taipei Underground Mall in Taiwan, where in addition to selling normal Strict G stuff, they'll also be selling some Taiwan limited items. And then let's quickly wrap things up with the polls. A few weeks ago, Gundam.info wanted to know what our favorite scene from Gundam Seed Freedom was. And we got a very clear divide between the top 2 options and the bottom 2 options. The winner with 54.2% was the GQux first appearance, and really I am not at all surprised by this. The GQux was a very popular machine, and it was piloted by the equally popular Atheron Zala. Add in some cool action scenes that showed off how badass both of them were, and well, we have an obvious winner. But this didn't stop the Mighty Strike Freedom's first appearance from at least getting close, because with 41.1%, it took almost all of the remaining votes, showing that for a lot of people, the best kind of kill is overkill. This then left 3.9% for the opening of the movie, and a mere 0.9% for the party at Foundation. So yeah, overall the poll pretty much went how I was expecting, although I wasn't expecting the bottom 2 to do this poorly. Which is not something I can say for the currently ongoing poll, because since we've entered 2025, Gundam.info wants to know what Gundam thing we're looking forward to the most in 2025. The new Gunpla factory opening up is unfortunately not one of the options we can choose from. What you can vote though are GQux, the Gundam Next Future Final, the Gundam Next Future Pavilion at the World Expo, or Gundam Wing's 30th Anniversary. Having both of the Gundam Next Future things in last place did not surprise me. What did surprise me was GQux being in second place despite being like the big new upcoming anime. On Twitter, it is still really close to the Gundam Wing 30th Anniversary, but on Gundam.info, Gundam Wing is leading by a long shot. I was not expecting that 30th Anniversary to do this well, especially considering that for G Gundam, we didn't really get all that much in the grand scheme of things. Like, it was cool that we got that new novel that we did. It was cool seeing some of the new merchandise that we got, but again, it wasn't anything mind-blowing like an anime sequel or an anime spin-off. But yeah, if you want to cast your vote, I will of course have the links down below. And before I sign off, I quickly want to mention that next week's Gundam news will be delayed by 1 day because on next week Thursday, I will be flying back to Belgium. And that has been all for this week's Gundam news. As always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope everyone watching has a great evening, and I'll see you all next week with more Gundam news.